Shalom. My name is Moreh IshiYAH Yisrael from the House of Israel in Cincinnati, Ohio, 2330 Kemper Lane, bringing to you in 40 minutes or less. In 40 minutes or less, I will prove beyond a shadow of a doubt the word of Yahweh. Who is this Yahweh? Yahweh is the creator of the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that is therein. Yahweh is the Elohim of our fathers, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yisrael, whom you may know as Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yahweh is our judge. Yahweh is our lawgiver. Yahweh is our king, who will save us. Shalom, and praise the mighty Yah. Welcome to another program of 40 minutes or less. In this 40 minutes or less program, lesson number 63, we will deal with the science of man. We dealt with the science of heaven, the science of the earth, the science of the sea, and now we will deal with the science of man. Since in America, as long as I've been in school for many years, and many years before me, all the way until this very day, they will teach you, and around the world, that man comes from apes, monkeys. And why would they teach such a thing when they know this is not true? And even if they believe that it is true, there's no evidence of us, our ancestry, being apes. And you have men with all kind of degrees called bachelor degrees, master degrees, MBAs, PhD degrees, who believe in this false theory that our ancestors are apes. And then you also have many scholars, scientists, who also believe we came from some type of alien existence, which is also false. The creator of the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that is therein is, tells us exactly where we came from, how we was formed, how we was made, how we was created, the day in which he created us. And he will give us details of his patent on man. And what is Yahweh's patent? It is the Holy Scriptures. This is his patent. And I will prove this in 40 minutes or less. So we will deal with the science of man. The first thing you want to know about the science of man is what the Creator let us know in the book of Genesis, the first chapter. And let's see if this makes any sense to you. Now imagine somebody teaching you that you came from an ape. Even though we're not evolving into apes anymore, even though we are masters of the apes today, every species of an ape today, we can put in a zoo. But no apes can put us in a zoo. And why? I'm about to show you. In the book of Genesis, the first chapter, watch what the scriptures say in the 26th verse. We're going to start there. And Elohim said, let us, speaking of his heavenly hosts, make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So Elohim created man in his own image. In the image of Elohim created he him. Male and female created he them, and blessed them. And Elohim said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, replenish the earth, subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that creepeth upon the earth. So the Almighty, the Creator, we were made after his image and after his likeness, he gave us dominion over all the earth. He gave us dominion of all the sea life in the ocean, in the river, in the waters. He even gave us dominion over the fowl of the air. So it's nothing for us to catch a bald eagle. It's nothing for us to catch a sparrow or a shark or a whale or even an ape. We have them all in what we call zoos today. But you don't see a man in a zoo. The only thing that can catch a man and put a man in captivity, as these zoos are, is another man, in which they have done. Furthermore, to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt, what Yahweh said is true about his image and his likeness, if you didn't understand what he meant by that, watch what it says in the book of Genesis, the 5th chapter. And we're going to start at the very first verse. I may add, we are talking about the science of man. See, once you understand the science of man, then you might understand the Creator who created, made, and formed man for himself. It says in Genesis, the 5th chapter, the first verse, this is the book of the generation of Adam. In the day that Elohim created man, in the likeness of Elohim made he him. And if you didn't understand what he meant by that, watch what it says. Male and female created he them, blessed them, called their name Adam in the day when they were created. And Adam lived 130 years and begot a son in his own likeness, after his image, and called his name Seth. In other words, if you want to know what the Almighty meant by his image and likeness, all you have to do is look at your sons. A man look at his son, that's his image, that his likeness, because he came from that father, that man. And all through the scriptures, the Almighty said, let everything multiply after his own kind. And that's what a man gonna have. I don't care what woman he's with, he still will multiply after his own kind, because it is the man's seed. So when Yahweh made us, we look like him. A man. Even though Yahweh is not a man, he still looked this way. And when Yahweh destroyed the earth by flood, and man had to refill the earth again, watch what it says in the book of Genesis, the 9th chapter, talking about the science of man. And this is what it says. in the very 6th verse. Or let me start at the first verse first. And Elohim blessed Noah and his sons, and said unto them, this after the flood, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. So they had to do the same thing that Adam had to do. But watch this. The 6th verse. It says, whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of Elohim made he man. So Yahweh made it crystal clear how we are made, how we are formed, how we were created. And Yahweh would even get into details that cannot be disputed. First, this can't be disputed because, as you can see, soon as a man have a son, that's his image and that's his likeness. He's not having apes and orangutans and different type of species that come from him. He got one type of seed, and that seed will be in his image and his likeness, just like Yahweh did in his image and likeness. But watch this in the book of Genesis, the 2nd chapter. Genesis 2. In the book of Genesis, the 2nd chapter, look what Yahweh said about, and this is his blueprint, this is his patent, the scriptures. In the book of Genesis, the 2nd chapter, Yahweh going to tell you exactly how he formed the man in whom he created and made. In the 7th verse it says, and Yahweh Elohim formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. And where's your breath at? Don't you breathe through your nostrils? Most people do. I know some people breathe through their mouth, but their mouth is connected to their nostrils. But really, that breath is in that nostril. Furthermore, in the 19th verse of this same chapter, watch what it says. And out of the ground Yahweh Elohim formed every beast of the field, every fowl of the air, brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. And Adam gave names to all cattle, to the fowl of the air, to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found a helpmeet for him. And we'll get into that, this helpmeet. But right now we're dealing with the man. And the scriptures say man was formed not from an ape, not from the Neanderthal man. Look where Yahweh said man was formed from. And watch this. And ask yourself, is this the truth? In Genesis, the 3rd chapter. Now, if they were saying this thousands of years ago, then why are they telling you in modern time that we come from apes? And to prove that that was a outright lie, watch what it says. Genesis, the 3rd chapter, the 17th verse. This is what it says. And we're going to read to the 19th verse. And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened to the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it, cursed is the ground for thy sake. In sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. Thorns and thistles shall it bring forth to thee. And thou shalt eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread, till thou return unto the ground. For out of it wast thou taken, for dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return. And today, we don't return into no ape. We don't look like no ape. We don't have the same biology as an ape, no matter what they tell you. Dust we are, and dust shall we return. That happened then with the very first man. He didn't evolve into nothing. He came right out of the dirt, dust of the ground. And till this day, dust we are, and dust shall we return. Furthermore, the Almighty even gave us a dietary law. But even before we read this dietary law, as was said before, we're made in his image and his likeness. And let me just give you a scripture that you can know what Yahweh is saying is the truth. If we came from apes, then that means Yahweh is an ape. And Yahweh is no ape at all. Here it is. Furthermore, he's not even a man, but his image and his likeness is in us. Deuteronomy, the 4th chapter, and this is what it says in the 27th verse. And Yahweh shall scatter you among the nations in which we are today. And ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither Yahweh shall lead thee. Watch this in the 28th verse, though. And there ye shall serve gods. And these gods are not real gods. They the work of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell. And Yahweh do all these things. And how do I know Yahweh see, hear, eat, and smell? Because we do. We do. And he made us in his image. And he made us in his likeness. That's how I know this is the truth. And thus you are, and thus you shall return. It is a scientific truth. But watch this. To further prove, Yahweh gave us a dietary law because we eat. Because Yahweh eat. Watch this in the book of Genesis, the 1st chapter. And where did this diet come from? Where did this food come from? It didn't come from heaven. It didn't come from necessarily sea. This came from the very thing, the very place in which Yahweh made us from. Watch what the Creator said in the book of Genesis, the 1st chapter. And we're going to read the 29th verse. This is what it says. And Elohim said, behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed. In other words, we eat things with seeds. We come from a seed. We operate just like the seeds operate in the earth, because they all come after their own kind. Unless you get a man in a laboratory and start integrating the seeds, then you're going to have a bunch of mixed madness. And Elohim said, behold, I've given you every herb-bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for food. It shall be for meat. This is supposed to be our meat. Who knew what we're supposed to eat? Yahweh, because he made us in his image and his likeness. because we see, we hear, we eat, and we smell. Furthermore, in the book of Genesis, the 2nd chapter, watch what Yahweh would do with the man that really we should still be doing today, and many are doing today, in the book of Genesis, the 2nd chapter. And this is what it says in the 5th verse. And every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew, for Yahweh Elohim had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground. In other words, do you realize that in order for anything to grow, you need rain? And even if it grows, you still need a man to till it. And so why would Yahweh put a bunch of apes here who can't till nothing without man being here to till the ground? A bunch of dinosaurs here. You know this stuff will just grow all over the place. But a dinosaur can't till. Yeah, they can eat stuff, but they can't till nothing. Watch what it says. But there went up a mist from the earth, watered the whole face of the ground. And as I read before, and Yahweh Elohim formed man of the dust of the ground, breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. These are just things you can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt. And what did you call this man that Yahweh formed to till the ground? Watch the 8th verse. And Yahweh Elohim planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed in this garden. And what did he do? He did exactly what Yahweh said a man's supposed to do. Not a beast, not a snake, not an orangutan, not a giraffe. They can't till nothing. But man can. Furthermore, let me tell you what this type of man was called. He was called a husbandman. And what is a husbandman? Well, a husbandman is somebody who take care of the land. And to show you what I'm telling you is the truth, in the book of Genesis, the 9th chapter, watch what it says. Because the Almighty destroyed the earth with a flood, and so he spared Noah and his sons and their wives. But the earth still had to be tilled. And this is what it says in the book of Genesis, the 9th chapter. And we're going to read the 20th verse. And it says, and Noah began to be a husbandman, and he planted a vineyard. Yeah, in other words, he started tilling, he started planting, he started sowing his seed, just like his ancestors. What ape do you know that know how to do this? And if he know how to do this, it's only because you told him. Because this is not his natural ability to do such a thing. So why would a man tell us we came from an ape? And an ape he don't even know how to do a basic, simple function of tilling the ground. Furthermore, in the book of Genesis, the 8th chapter, in the book of Genesis, the 8th chapter, and just to show you the various command that Noah and his sons had, this is what it says in Genesis, the 8th chapter, the 7th verse. We'll start at 6. And it came to pass at the end of 40 days that Noah opened up the window of the ark which he had made. And he sent forth a raven, which went forth to and fro until the waters were dried up from off the earth. This is what he was seeing. He sent this raven out to see if the earth was dry. Also, he sent forth a dove from him to see if the waters were abated from off the face of the ground. But the dove found no rest for the soles of her foot. And she returned unto him in the ark, because she couldn't go nowhere else, for the waters were on the face of the whole earth. And the reason why he had such a command for this, watch what it says in Genesis, the 9th chapter, at the first verse. And Elohim blessed Noah and his sons, said unto them, be fruitful, multiply, and replenish the earth. Same thing he said to Adam. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, every fowl of the air, upon all that moveth upon the earth, and upon all the fishes of the sea. Into your hand are they delivered. In other words, they had no fear of going in the waters, getting anything. They didn't fear sharks, whales, octopus, or any of these things. Nor did they fear any beast in the earth or any fowl of the air, because they had dominion. And we still had dominion today. We still had dominion today. Just like Yahweh said we would. Furthermore, watch what Yahweh says about our food in the earth. And this is real important to know, because man has found this to be a scientific truth. They would call it a scientific fact. Now, these facts, I don't know. It depends on who you're talking to. Donald Trump said he has a lot of facts, a lot of truth. But Yahweh is the author of truth. And watch what this says. I want you to see this in the book of Ezekiel. Ezekiel, the 47th chapter. This is what it says. And we're going to start reading at the 12th verse. And by the river upon the bank thereof, on this side and on that side, shall grow all trees for food, for meat, whose leaves shall not fade, neither shall the fruit thereof be consumed. It shall bring forth new fruit according to his months, because their waters, they issue out of the sanctuary. And the fruit thereof shall be for food, and the leaf thereof for medicine. And what is our medicine today? Matter of fact, what is our food? And then what is our medicine? Even the fool know that our medicine comes from the leaf. And we're not talking about this medicine that's made in a laboratory, which oftentimes comes from the leaf also. And what they try to do is cultivate it so they can charge you a lot of money for it. But this is our medicine. So the very thing we eat, the food that we eat, was also meant for our medicine. In other words, the only way that you can get sick is that you didn't eat real food. Because the very food you ate was the very medicine you took in. The science of man. This is what Yahweh wanted you to know. Man is not after an ape, no orangutan, no gorilla, but man was in his image and his likeness and came from the dust of the earth. Until our next lesson, Yahweh love you, and so do I. Shalom.